They're cute, they love their toes, and they demand your constant attention and some sort of stimulation at all times.
What about your boss? He complains a lot, he requires you to stay professional, and he demands your work ethic and your time. And he's always grumpy, as you can see, unlike your children.
There's a big difference between your kids and your boss. But ideally, your life should be 50% life and 50% work. But in reality, most parents put work first, so 75% work and 25% life.
Assuming that you're taking care of yourself, your time to live your life gets even smaller. And I'm sure there's a lot of other household tasks you have to take care of, which clearly this little wedge to live life just gets smaller and smaller the more responsibilities you take on. That's why we're here to teach you guys how to balance your time and get the most out of that small sliver of life that you have to live. Oh, sorry. Why should you listen to us though? We're not parents and we don't have careers. So what we did to give ourselves credibility on this topic is we conducted a small series of questions to interview our families and our parents so that we could get a little bit better of an idea of what it's like to be a parent with a career.
So my dad was one of those people that struggled with maintaining life, work, and family. So when my dad first arrived in the U.S., he worked at 7-Eleven, earning a minimum wage job, and due to that, he had to work 16 to 18 hours a day, and he only spent around an hour or two there, like with me and my sister. And this was especially hard for him because he was a single parent, so this took a lot of toll on him, whether it be physically or mentally. So he decided to quit his job and start working at a trucking company. And then after working there for about 3 years, he really enjoyed it because it gave him more flexible hours, and it obviously gave him a lot more money than 7-Eleven did. So he decides to make it his career, and so he quits his job at the trucking company and started his own company. And now he has 3 trucks and he has 2 employees under him, and he has like as many flexible hours as he wants. He can spend as much time as he wants with me and my sister. So like the lessons to take away from this story is it can be really hard to balance work and life, but as long as you stay persistent with it and like you go for your passion, you'll do well. And one of the things that stuck out with me is like when I interviewed my dad, I asked him if he could go back in time and redo everything, how would he do it again? And he said he would work the same hours because if he didn't work as much as he did earlier, he wouldn't be able to have flexible hours and he wouldn't be able to spend as much time as he wants with us. So, yeah.
For my parents, as you guys see on the right-hand side, my parents didn't really work when I was growing up because they were CEOs of a company. And as the economy fell from 2007 to 2016, my parents worked more and more. They worked anywhere from 12 to 16 hours a day. This was especially hard for me and my sister because we were little kids. And now growing up, being in college, me and my sister in college, they don't work, they're retired. So looking back on it, my parents do regret not spending enough time with me and my sister, but they wouldn't change anything because what they did was leading up to the factor that they put everything aside for me and my sister in the future.
So my parents are right here in the bottom right-hand corner. My dad has worked for the same trailer company from the day I was born, and he still works for them now. So he's kind of been a full-time parent my entire life. My mom, on the other hand, she didn't really go and get her career until me and my sisters were in college. So the ages that we were when my parents started their career actually had a really big difference on their answers to my questions. But one thing that was consistent between the two was that they both felt guilty for working. And this is a really common thing among working parents, and something that's really important to remember is that you're working because it's what's best for your family. Studies show that children who grow up in financially stressed out households suffer from mental, behavioral, and social development. So obviously you're going to work because it's what's best for your family. Also, it's important to remember the quality of time that you're spending with your kids is way more important than the quantity of time. If you only have a couple hours a day to spend with your kids and you're taking advantage of that time and forming great relationships with them, then it'll show. My dad, for example, when he said he felt guilty, it baffled me because I don't remember my dad not being present in my life, because those small times he got with me, he was able to take advantage of them.
Mental health plays a big part of stress. Mental health includes anxiety, stress, and basically mental health. So within mental health, you have stress. So stress plays an important factor because if you have a lot of stress, you're going to tend to worry a lot. You're going to tend to have panic attacks, which falls under anxiety. So some ways that you can ease out of stress is spend time with your kids. Spending time with your kids actually helps you because it focuses more on other attentions rather than work and life.
As a team, we put together a couple time management tools for you guys to take advantage of so that you could get the most out of your life. One of the biggest of these is not to procrastinate. Brian Tracy is a time management guru, and he has some really good advice if you're struggling from procrastination like I do, to just eat the frog. And the frog is basically that big ugly task that you have that you don't want to do, and it's kind of just staring you back in the eyes. But think about how good you'll feel once you eat that frog, once it's gone, and how much better and more efficiently you'll get everything else done. Another important thing is stop multitasking. People who multitask don't really put a 100% into everything they're doing. Instead of trying to get a million things done at once, set small blocks of times so that you can fully commit yourself to everything you're doing. Also, don't overanalyze yourself. Being a parent is the hardest job in the world, and having a career on top of that is ridiculous. So no one's really expecting you to be perfect, and it's okay to not go to every PTA meeting and not chaperone every dance, and to learn to say no and to not bite off more than you can chew.
So to help you with time management, we came up with 2 things that everybody should do to better manage their time. One of those things is accountability chart. The accountability chart is divided into 2 sections. As you can see, on the left side there's the time, and on the right side there are things that you have to do. And this helps you use your time more efficiently because it shows you which times aren't being utilized as well as they should.
An accountability chart is also a to-do list. So personally, I write hourly by hourly, which helps me a lot to plan out my day. So I advise you guys to do that.
So it can be really hard to follow the things we've talked about right now, but we've came up with a website and an app to help you with those things. So it's called The Balance, and it has a lot of tools in it to help you manage your stress, mental health. It helps you with time management, and it also has meditation to help you with anxiety, stress, any type of problems you have. And we've also created a forum which you can discuss with other parents that are going through the same problem as you. And we've also implemented a live chat button where you can get help 24/7 from our website about any of the things we offer. So I advise you guys to download the app today and make sure you take advantage of all the tools we have to offer for you. Thank you.